I'd like now to discuss matters investment in land. What exactly do you look out for when you want to invest in land so that you can put more money and, do a business in it? And to have this conversation is Anthony MAINA, who is a council member at Institution of Surveyors of Kenya. He's also a registered and licensed real estate agent. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Thank you. Land is a very emotive issue in Kenya. But when we talk about investing in land, what exactly should one, have in mind before they decide to put their money there?
Okay, thank you, Betty, for having me. First, what I'll say is that land, people say, is an emotive issue. But what I say is that people attach emotions to land.
Okay.
Yes, that's the issue.
All right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So land, I read in the Bible, Genesis, that God created land on the third day. Later on the sixth day, when he created man, he told man to have dominion of land. And maybe that's where the affinity of land started from. So people like or love to have an interest in land. So that's what creates demand in land. Yes.
Right. So when someone has some money they've put away and they are now ready to invest, what exactly should they consider? Talk about things such as location and what you want to invest in the land. Yeah.
Okay, land is a good investment vehicle because of its appreciation in value. So what I request is that if you have some money, the next thing is to shop for land, depending on location and also the purpose for which you want to buy the land. Because if you are buying land for agriculture, you have to go to the agricultural areas where there's enough rainfall. If you are buying land to build your house, you must build in an area that's close to where you work or close to amenities like road, water, electricity. If you're also buying land for investment purposes, like you want to build some rental houses, you also have to look at those locations in terms of infrastructure. Yes, so that you can be able to get people to come and occupy your houses and be able to get good returns when you invest in rental properties.
Right.
Yes.
We know that a number of Kenyans have been affected negatively by that decision to buy land, and there are unscrupulous dealers that are, conning Kenyans out of their hard-earned cash. Could you please speak to the way to acquire land legally, the right way to ensure that you're not conned?
First, I'll say that the reason people are conned is because they don't have information. When there's scarcity of information, you tend to be conned. Because first, you buy land that has an issue, has a dispute, or you buy land at a very high price, whereas the value is a bit low. So the first thing you're supposed to do in land purchase is to do due diligence. Due diligence is a term that's key. And the other term that we introduce is what we call caveat emptor. Caveat emptor is buyer beware. So as a buyer, you have the responsibility to be able to carry out enough search on that land to identify that the land doesn't have an issue. So the first thing you do, you have a copy of title of that land from the seller and apply for a search. Within Nairobi, you can do online through Adisasa. I think also Moranga, a bit of it. But the others, you have to go to the land registry and apply. Then arm yourself with a survey map. Survey map from Survey of Kenya, so that you can be able to also go to site. Because the other thing that people fail to do is to go to site. You have to go to site with a survey map and be able to confirm that whatever survey map says is what the ground shows. Especially, you have to look at maybe how the road appears on the ground, how the neighboring plots appear, and also the size. And also advise people, when you go to site, and maybe you don't have a tape measure or anything to measure land, you can also use your steps. Okay. Like they say, one step is 1 meter. So you're able to measure.
Is that standard for both tall and short people?
No. You just have a normal step. Normal step. Yes.
Okay.
So that's key, so that at least you'll be able to know the documentation is good, and also the other thing is land is okay. Then what the other thing that you do when you are on site, you do some interviews, especially on the people around that area. You have to confirm with them whether that land has an issue, any dispute. You have to confirm the owner. And also the other thing that you need to confirm is the previous owners, if it's possible. That's information you can be able to get site. Because initially it was, or people thought that as soon as you do a search on land and you confirm the ownership is okay, you continue the process. But recently there was a Supreme Court case between Dina Management and the county government of Mombasa, whereby the court ruled that the purchaser is supposed to go beyond the issue of search and be able to identify the process of that ownership, so that you can be able to know whether the land was illegally allocated, maybe in the initial stages. Yes.
Right. So there are people who have purchased land and, you know, when the rains come, they had purchased a swamp. Is there any way to make sure that you're not purchasing land that, you know, has such issues?
Yes, and that occurs when you're doing a site visit.
Okay. Because
when you go to site visit, I remember there's a friend of mine who was buying land the side of Gong. And I told him, when you are going to site visit, especially when you are taken as a group, ensure that you move away from that group, get someone and be able to ask, how is that area when it rains? Is it accessible? Is it a swamp? Is it a river course? So that's what he did. He found someone who was herding his cattle, and he was able to ask and confirm. And he was told, that area that you have been taken, several people usually come and visit there, and they go back, then they buy. So the best thing is to, when you go to site visit, when you are taken as a group or you go individually, ensure that you have as much information as possible when you are on site.
Right. As we come to a close of the conversation, 30 seconds, your closing remarks to Kenyans who want to, you know, are thinking of buying land.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll say this. Land is a good investment vehicle, and everyone would like to own a piece of land. But ensure that you carry out due diligence so that you don't have an issue. I'll say something I saw yesterday in your news, Channel News, about a deadly dispute in Kakamega, which led to someone who died. The other one I will say, I don't know whether I'm supposed to.
We don't have time. We are really out of time.
Because of court case. Sorry, because of time. The other issue I'll say is we need to be careful when buying land. That's the key point that I'll say.
Right.
Be careful so that you are not be able to be conned your hard-earned cash.
Right. Thank you very much. Anthony MAINA, thank you for your remarks. That is the council member at the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya. He's also a registered and licensed real estate agent. He has said that you make sure you do your due diligence, do your land search at the Ardhi Sasa as well as land registry offices across the country to ensure that you are not conned when purchasing land.